right. Good morning. Good afternoon. I see our social connections are just starting to connect right now. So as you come in, if you're on live, let us know where you're coming from. We definitely want to say hello, give you a shout out. I can see you in the chat here when you put your comments up. And then if you're on Team Replay, let us know you're on Team Replay. Catherine and I are going to come back to this from time to time and see who joined us today. But I'm excited, okay? One thing I get to do is spend time with amazing individuals who are making a massive impact in this world. And Catherine's one of those individuals. And, I always start this off with the simple question. I believe each and every person has been through something in life that has equipped them to help other people. And I call that a mission that matters. So as we start this here, and I see a couple chats, so I just want to give some shout outs. All right, hold on. I got to do this before we continue. Sean, hello from Utah. It's good to see LinkedIn and lives working here. Okay. Oh, look, man, we got a crowd. Hold on. We got to give shout outs here. Scott from Florida. Awesome. Great to see you. We got Jennifer from Denver. We have Teresa. Good morning from New Jersey. Gosh, you guys are fine. I love this. Keep on. Good morning, Gail. LinkedIn user, we can't see who you are. There's one of those. John Craig, great to see you. Sometimes you have to give permission here, but hello from Atlanta. All right, we got Rick. Good morning, Rick. We got Patricia. I know Patricia pretty well. Hello, Patricia. We got Chris Beasley. Awesome. Italy. Hold on. Catherine, we got Italy in the house.
That's amazing. Well, Chris, awesome. I just have to jump in and say that because of my super connector networking self, I hope people are putting their LinkedIn handles in the chat and connecting with each other.
Yes.
That's one of the things that we really care about, is that we want people to organize around communities. And so be sure to introduce yourself to one another, even as you're popping in and saying hi to us.
Yeah, please. That's really important. There's awesome people. I already was commenting with a bunch of you on DMs. I know that Catherine was also, but let's get back to the point here. Okay. I just wanted to make sure each and every one of you know that we see you out there. We can see the connections. You may see me look up once in a while. Okay. It's because I have two screens here and I'm just making sure this technology thing works. But Catherine, back to the question. I believe each and every one of us has a mission that matters. Tell us what yours is, why you're doing it, and who's it for.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so my mission is to help entrepreneurs and business development leaders connect with each other. So I have designated myself, I've sort of self-appointed as a super connector. Other people had called me that over the course of my career. And now in this chapter of my entrepreneurial journey, I've started several companies. I've always done things around business development, training, recruiting, and equipping with teams. And the last couple of years, I started something called the Good Humans Growth Network, because I wanted a place that entrepreneurs and business development leaders could gather in smaller groups where they can help one another. And so I believe, Chris, and I'm really banking on humans connecting with one another in a revisited, so new to us, but we're going to talk about this today, right? New to us, but in a revisited kind of times gone by way, where communities were very important to people. And then they kind of, for a variety of reasons, some of that has lagged, and we're really seeing a resurgence of it coming back. And I am banking on that. I believe that people connections give you your most qualified sales opportunities. They provide you your next opportunity professionally. They get your kid internships, right? There's just so many ways that this social capital help each other. And my mission is to help people connect in live and online in ways that accomplish their purposes.
I love it. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be a fun conversation. I just want to share something, because we talk about you being a super connector, bringing people together. What is happening in the chat right now? And I do a lot of LinkedIn lives, Catherine. I'm just letting you know, this chat's on fire. So,
good.
And I just want to give a shout out. Deanna, I see you there, a New Zealander who lives in Italy. That's awesome. We got Michael here. So we have a huge group here today. And I already saw some of y'all, right? Let's just give the disclaimer now. You see right up here, join the challenge. We are going to take this conversation much deeper in 2 weeks, okay? And it's a complimentary challenge. We will talk about that. But some of you ambitious already scrolling that. I can see that. So feel free to do that. But Catherine, let's get into this community, right? Here's something that's really important to me. I'm a cyclist. And one thing I always talk about is the Peloton. And, I've helped build, grow, scale over 50 communities in my career. And I've seen the impact, what people want. They want to get together. They want to connect extremely real with each other and help each other get further faster. In
Yeah.
this world of AI, I see this as more important than ever now because you
Yeah.
go on social, you go anywhere, people are just putting AI stuff up. And I'm
Yeah.
not knocking AI. AI is a massive advantage for all of us, but people are using it completely wrong right now. So
Mm.
let's really start this dynamic of what you see the future of community and connection being. Let's like go into this new era that we're entering right now.
It's great, Chris. I'd like to take about 2 minutes,
Yes.
and I'm really going to watch the time so that I don't do a 10-minute version, but just do a 2-minute version of the history in the United States. Specifically, I'm equipped to speak about what's happening in the United States based on my research. I suspect it's probably true globally, okay, at least in Western countries. But in the United States, it's really important that you kind of drop us in this moment in time and say, where are we compared to how it might have been when I was a child growing up or what my parents or grandparents would have experienced? The reason we think community is something that's worth talking about and something that's worth fighting for. The
Mm.
reason we think that matters is because in the history of the US, since its founding, right? Since it probably going back to even being, colonists from Britain, right? When it started, it was actually been communities and civic organizations. So it'd be social services organizations, civic organizations. There's a gentleman whose name is, I don't want to get this wrong because I reread the book for this. Bob Putnam, Dr. Bob Putnam wrote a book in the early 2000s called Bowling Alone. And he traces how in the last quarter of the last century, okay, so I'm 53, I was born in 1972, just so everybody knows, the context, but basically right about when I was coming on the scene and being born, started this major decline in church participation, synagogue participation, and there's all these things that happened at the same time in the history of the US. You had suburbs, superhighways,
Yep.
right? Job mobility, increased industrialization, and then we have the rise of the computer and the ability to start to work from other places. Then we have global pandemics, all these things that lead us up to where we find ourselves coming into the new century, and there is record low participation in people gathering with each other. So it's really worth noting because we're streaming live on LinkedIn, Chris. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm a maniac about LinkedIn. It's my favorite channel.
Yep.
I've been on it since it was free. Okay. That's how long I was on it, when it was free to everyone when I was a recruiter, decades ago. And yet I see it as a tool to a greater purpose. And the greater purpose is that we need to spend time together one-on-one and in small groups to actually have that social capital. I define social capital as the all of the relationship value that we get where we had shared norms, shared values, and we help one another. And it's where you can count on one another. And so these tools, in my mind, they help us get there. But we're trying to get back to a place where I think we actually were a long time ago, where there was a lot of shared trust when people gathered on a regular basis.
Isn't it funny? It's almost like if you look at this, what was foundationally set years ago is coming back right now.
I think
More.
so.
Oh, I know it is. I'm seeing it day in, day out with the clients I work with, the events we host, everything. People are just like, I want to be around real people. I want to get into the room that can transform my lives and other lives, that can make an impact together, right? I mean, it's amazing what's happening
Exactly.
right now. And
Exactly. And Chris, in my work with the Good Humans Growth Network, I've started to do a couple of events a year. And I'm just going to say, this has been my learning. So I'm going to disclose
yeah,
this
oh,
to
absolutely.
everybody. Like, this has been my learning. I thought, oh, well, the first event will have 50 people and the second event will have 80 people. And then we'll go to 120 and then we'll go to 200. And at first, my serial entrepreneur mind, was like, oh, well, bigger is better. And what I learned after, well, really, they told me with the first event, I just didn't believe people. They told me with the second event, I started to believe people. They told me at the third event, and I really started to believe people. People don't care if it's bigger.
Yep.
Because you can't talk to most of the room if you have more than 80 to 100 people over a 3-day event, and people are flying across the country to be gathered in person and spend time both to meet new people as well as to deepen their relationships with people they meet with during the year on Zoom. And that in person, it gives me chills. I mean, the in-person intimacy is very hard to capture another way. We are certainly getting good at it. I love Zoom. We have Zoom communities that spend most of their time that way. And I do believe you can build real friendships that way. But this combo of social plus Zoom plus in person. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And that's that's how it should be, because like, you and I, we know each other through Zoom. Now we know others. I missed your event because of some life things, this and that, and I was looking forward to it. But the moment you get in that room with somebody, this is what I love about meeting people. And there's so many of you on LinkedIn now. We have over 50 on here now, which is awesome. Shout out to you all for taking time with us today. But like, what I love about this is we have this awesome tool, LinkedIn. And like you, I'm born in 73. So we're about the same age here. And I was on this platform from day one. I think I was like for 6 months. So I've seen it grow. But we have this tool, LinkedIn, that we can get the most amazing people together. But then how do you take it to the next level? That know, like, and trust factor is huge. And this is what community building is all about. I've helped launch some significant communities. One that, quite frankly, started as a $0 company and went to $1 billion in 3 years because they built it all around community. Wow. All around community. And we could talk about that in the challenge when we do the challenge. But let's keep this conversation going, because we have an awesome group, and I'm just making sure everything's connected. So let's talk about this real need for connection to get away from this AI world. And then some of the other things you're starting to see. You just came off an event, a month ago, right? You took people from this world of LinkedIn, many of you on here now, into that event, had the intimacy, and now you're on the back end of things. Tell us a little bit about what's happening there.
Yes. So we did gather, there were about 85 people that gathered in Houston, Texas in person. Think about these little micro communities. So you have a peer advisory group that's organized around mergers and acquisitions. And you have another peer advisory group that's full of marketers. And you have another group that's a referral group that's B2B professionals that sell to mid-market. These little micro communities all gather. Okay. That's how our events work. So small group to bigger group. We gather, we spend 2.5 days together, and everybody goes back to their life. And what they're doing now, Chris, is they're building trust. Because if you only met on Zoom 1 or 2 times in a pre-conference event, and then you spend the day together, now you've logged the equivalent of 3 or 4 meetings. And what I've learned as a longtime sales trainer is that an entrepreneur who's responsible for their own business development needs to remember they always have 2 pipelines. They have a buyer pipeline, which is what you traditionally think of as your sales pipeline. And you have your people partner pipeline, right? Yep. Most of us are trying to cultivate referral partners, people to go to market with, people who we could have subcontract to us, things like that. So we're always working these 2 pipelines. And what most people take too long to understand is that people pipeline that is not your buyers, but all your social capital people.
Yep.
It takes as long. It takes as long as a complex sale does, because what people want is trust. They want to know, if I introduce you, are you going to blow their socks off? Are you going to make me look good? Right? I'm already a trusted advisor to my client. If I introduce you, you're a reflection of me. And so people are trying to figure this out, and they're in the process of growing those relationships. So I think my big takeaway, Chris, is that smaller conferences are very beneficial.
Yep.
So I'm making my plans for my next event, which is in February. I'm purposely designing more times in clumps with people to talk in person. And I'm also going to cap the number of attendees just to keep that intimacy. And I'm also watching and following up now with my members to see how are those follow-up calls going, and are you progressing in that natural cycle of building trust? That's what our AI world is bringing to us. We have all these efficiencies, but it's also raising the question of who can I trust? What is real? What do I consider real, etc.
Yeah. And I love the term that you're using, like these intimacies, these micro communities, because that's where the impact's made the fastest. That's where people are changing. There's acceleration. But I also like how you talk about the human trust capital, right? Because people miss that. The partners you're going to work with, people out there, like, you do have to build a relationship with them. I get a lot of referrals in my business, but here's why. Know, like, and trust people that I've known for a long time. So like your name gets mentioned in rooms you're not in, right? That's the ultimate situation. All of a sudden you get the DM, hey, Catherine referred me to you. So let's chat. But let's talk about like that a little bit, how you're starting to really take that to a new level in your communities, because that's something that a lot of people miss.
So I'm going to drop some names, Chris, just because we all know, like some of the biggest brands, but I want to make sure that people listening kind of understand my points of reference. So I started my first company in 2002. And I looked for both peer advisory, which is where people give advice to each other, and you have usually someone as a focus member where you're helping to solve their problems. Okay, that's what peer advisory meetings are. There's also referral and networking groups. So people have heard of things like on the peer advisory side, you have things like Vistage, the Alternative Board. In the Christian faith world, you have Convene, C12. There's a Catholic organization called Sent. All these are organized around helping CEOs to help each other. Okay, you've got that category. Then you've got the BNIs of the world, right? So you have Network in Action, BNI, and then you'll have regional networking. You have networking through your Chamber of Commerce, through associations and trade groups. There's all these different kinds of groups. Okay, I have been in most of them. I've spent $1 zillion over the years since 2002 in joining and figuring out where can I establish social capital, build trust with other people, where can I find people who share a similar client to me, etc. Here's what I've learned, Chris. I think almost every group is too big. Now, there's efficiencies in dollars. There's efficiencies. Let's say if you're in a peer advisory group that says we won't meet till you have 8 people and we cap at 18. Okay. If you do that, there's benefits about a range of perspectives, but it takes that much longer to build trust with that many people and get to know them. And so what we're doing that's a little different is I'm really digging in and saying, because people will ask me, they'll say, if I want to build a group in the Good Humans Growth Network, how big do I have to be before we can launch? Because this is the way that most groups are organized. There's rules around that. And I've got best practices, but I would turn that question back to the group's leader. And I would say, well, what is your agenda? How often are you meeting? And when is there trust established? Right? What's required based on what you're trying to accomplish together. So if everyone in the group says, I'm looking for a very intimate experience and I don't want this to be big, then your group might not ever be bigger than 6 people. And that might be people's favorite group.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So what we're doing is we're equipping people to think, who would I want to spend more time with anyway, that I have to go chase down for coffee? And what if I just got all of those somebodies in the virtual room or the in-person, right? Face-to-face in-person room. What would it be like if I did that regularly? And maybe you could build that group around yourself. And that's such a paradigm shift, Chris, because a lot of groups make it hard. They're like, you have to be a certain amount of experience, or you have to have sold a business, or you have to have revenue over a certain size in order to be considered qualified. And we want, during our challenge, to give people a space and an opportunity to ask, well, am I equipped and qualified to lead the kind of group I wish I had right now? Like, and what would that look like? And so that intimacy and the permission to be smaller is a big deal, because franchise groups, license groups, others have stricter requirements because it has to do with their money model and how they've chosen to scale.
Yeah. And, it's interesting too, because here we are on a social platforms. I mean, we're on LinkedIn primarily, but this is on YouTube. This is on Facebook. This is going out there. And when you look at like these, how do I say this? I'll say gurus. I'm using nice terminology here. Okay. People who, it's all about the likes. It's all about the fake comments. It's all about that. That's how I look important, that dopamine effect. Yeah. That is actually zero impact on what you're doing in community. It's just, I look good. I'm important. Right. And when you look at the end result, how you're impacting lives and quite frankly, revenue and how your business is growing, it comes down to these intimate groups.
Yeah,
I've seen it in what I've built. I've built some nice communities, but when I get groups of 10 together, I like to call them micro pelotons. That's what I call my cohorts. The things that happen in those groups of 10 is everybody wants to stay attached. They don't want to have the one person sprinting too far. Like, no, I'm going to stay on that wheel and make sure I stay with them. But people want that. They want that collaboration and that next step. And one thing I want to share as we go through this, because I can't believe we are in the final 9 minutes of this meeting, by the way. Like, I knew this was going to go quick.
I know. I wish we had an hour.
But we do. We have 5 hours coming up, right? So we do want to say, you've seen it a few times. I've been seeing people register, which is awesome. Just take your phone right now. scan this QR code. I'll go in and drop it in the comments. Also, it does it automatically. But come join us the week of the 27th. We're doing, and this is crazy. I yelled at Catherine on this because I'm not at this. But you see that word complimentary? Catherine wants to do her first challenge this way, complimentary. We are going to spend 5 days, 5 hours taking you through a proven framework to help you really start to build one of these micro communities and why you want to build them. So why don't we talk about that real quick, and then we'll get back into a few more questions.
Great. So, Chris, it's so fun because people have been registering the last couple of weeks, leading up to this live. And one of the things that happens is when you register, you'll get a question that'll be sent to you an email that says, tell me any questions you have about what it would be like or what's kept you stuck from doing this already. Right. Because many people have paid B. I mean, most people have been in a BNI. Most people have joined a mastermind. If you're an entrepreneur, it's unusual if you're not exposed to at least one of these two categories of kinds of groups.
Yep.
And so I have been delighted at how many people are sending in information. It's everything from how will I know and determine what's valuable to them? How do I know if what's valuable to me will be valuable to others, that they would actually pay for it? Another has been confused about just how to assign value to pricing. So they say, I can imagine gathering, but I don't know how I would go about pricing the group. Another question I got was just really a confidence question. Like they just basically said, tell me more about how much you're going to help and how much coaching I'm going to get, because I've never done something like this before and it makes me feel scared. And Chris, I want to say that's the thing about being a leader, is that you just have to go and do it ugly, because you're not going to get all the answers. I'm going to do my best to answer all those questions in the challenge. But I mean, I want to reference back real quick to this 4th event I just did. In September, I gathered these 85 people in Houston. And I mean, I had amazing speakers. I had my first paid keynoter. I brought in Andrea Walsh and Richard Fenton. They were amazing, talking about Go for No. I mean, I just knocked myself out with this great event. We do a survey. We get to the end and we say, what was your favorite part? People said the pre-conference gatherings where you helped us meet each other, and the networking time during the conference. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying is they just want to be gathered.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to emphasize over and over again in this challenge, is we're going to say, who do you want to gather? Who do you believe wants to be gathered? And then you get to decide, is it something you charge for? Is it something you don't charge for? I don't believe every community has to be a paid community.
Yep.
I can just teach you how I've helped people build a paid community, but you might get to the end and do something else with the information, and that's fine too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to address 2 things that I just saw in here. One, yes, just do it ugly, Gail. See, you follow systems, Gail, you follow systems, but like, if you do it ugly, it starts to work out and it starts to get cleaner and cleaner and smoother. So that's one good thing. Another thing I want to say is, Teresa, we're glad that you're joining us here, but I want to just address one thing. Pandora, something you said, hey, it looks like there's 6 sessions. Let me tell you why. Catherine was actually talking about this, okay? When the reason we do this, I've done almost 200 5-day challenges, okay? Like, I've been doing this for a while. We always, the week before that Friday, we bring whoever's registered already together, because Catherine actually said it. People want to know who they're working with. They want to get to meet each other. So we set it up so you all can meet each other, get to know each other. And then we give you a little bit something to do over the weekend that'll get you ready for a challenge. So this will be huge for all you doing. So I just want to say this one more time. Hit this QR code. I yelled at Catherine. Like I said, this is a complimentary event. She will never do this again, complimentary again, but she wanted to serve you all. You all helped her through her conference, and she's like, I want to give back for all of you that helped. So pass the word on with this. This is a well-designed challenge. We're going to have fun. And the reason it's a challenge is each day we're going to give you something that you can actually implement. So the time you walk away, you actually have a roadmap. Okay, this isn't about getting together. Oh, look at these 2 people are amazing. They're just going to throw a lot of fluff of us. No, we're going to walk you through situations. That's why Catherine's asking questions for really early on.
And Chris, like, the other goal is that one of the first things that people do when they think about assembling people is they think, all right, well, I've got to have some kind of branding, some kind of website, some kind of landing page. How will I tell people where to learn about this? So our goal with the challenge is that at the very least, that some of the questions and criteria you'll think through together with the group, you'll have enough information that you actually could build a one-page landing page so people could register to attend an open house or to I know groups, Chris, that start for free for several months and then they evolve into pay because they might decide, okay, for what we want to do, we really do want to have 8 or 10 members. So when I have my first handful that's interested, the first couple months will be complimentary, and then we'll begin charging. That's the thing about you being a leader. I'll give you these frameworks, but you get to decide what's right for your people because you know who else sells to your industry, who you want to have referrals from, who you want to give advice, get advice from.
Yeah.
And you have some flexibility about how you set those things up.
Yeah. We're going to give you all that flexibility. It's going to be interactive. So those that are coming, like, listen, don't expect to just have your feet up and just sit back. Oh, this is great. We are going to interact with you. We're going to make this fun. We got all sorts of ideas that we'll implement. So make sure you scan that, pass the word on. Catherine, I'm going to let you wrap this up. I know, jeepers, we went fast. I told you these things.
Know you did say it would happen. So a few things I want to say. Chris doesn't know I'm going to say this part. So this is my first time. This is my first time doing a LinkedIn Live that leads to a challenge. So Chris, thank you.
No problem.
Be sure to follow Chris and connect with him because I'm learning a ton. I've done funnels. You're going to get an email that leads to another email. I know how to do those things, but this idea of how much you teach and give away to that leads to an offer. Like there is a whole methodology around that. So be sure to follow Chris and connect with him and make sure he's a first connection on LinkedIn because he's real active and he's a great commenter and supporter. So number one, be sure to do that. And number two, back to Pandora's question. If you can't make Friday the 24th with the kickoff call, it's okay. If you can only make 4 of the 5 calls, we're going to record them. It's okay. But want to encourage you to come as much as you can because this is a micro community teaching about micro communities, right? These are mostly coaches and consultants who are thinking, should I have a group as a part of my brand? And I'm going to teach you how to do that, but you're also going to meet some amazing people. We had 25 people signed up even before the live. And I know many of them, and Chris, they are amazing. I mean, some people are like, I don't have any idea if I really want to do this, but this looks interesting. And others have been thinking about a group or meeting free as a group for months, and they want to now convert to pay. So there's going to be a wide range of people to learn from.
Yeah. And I mean, I've helped personally build over 50 communities in my career. Some are pretty well known and others are, these micro communities, which actually make a greater impact in my opinion, right? Because they're small. So you're going to get insight from me also. Catherine and I are really good at this because we're bouncing off each other, right? We've done this. Like you're looking at 2 people who have actually done this, implemented it. I've done it for clients. So like this is going to be a time that you will never see the word complimentary again. I'm going to say that one more time because we had this conversation. I'm like, you're crazy. We're going to give out so much value. People pay attention to what they pay for. Let's put a little skin in the game. And she goes, just this one time, Chris. So
and Chris, the other reason we want to do it this way is because I'm going to share more about this during the challenge, but it takes 90 to 120 days to launch completely from scratch to a paid group. And we're going to show you that roadmap, but we really wanted to meet early in Q4 and give people the rest of the quarter so they could reverse engineer and say, I really want to have this in my life next year in 2026. And so we wanted the challenge to be complimentary and the opportunity to be in a group coaching cohort will be a really good price. And both of those things are just very strategically designed to help equip people to be up and going in Q1. And so that's part of the aggressive pricing.
Yes. And Christina, right, you see up above my head right here, just scan that on your phone, or I'm going to drop this right in the chat. You'll see this come up right now.
And so that just leads you, Christina, to the Zoom registration.
Yeah.
And that Zoom registration, when you get the login, it'll kick off some emails that ask you some questions, invite you to the Slack community, things like that. But all you have to do is click the QR code to start. And then when Chris and I are finished in the comments, we'll also just link directly to that Zoom page as well.
Yeah. So, make sure you do that. And we have a community page that's going to open up. So you'll start to see that, this is going to be a lot of fun. I see Lisa has a comment up here I want to bring. Where did that go? I just lost Lisa's McGuire's comment when I see it come back up, but she's been in the challenges of mine before. And, she's seen what we do. These are no fluff challenges. These are interactive. These are a ton of fun. So that's that. And Teresa, we're looking forward to seeing you there. So we got Teresa in there. I know, well, Patricia, yes, Catherine's well worth getting to meet. We know we'll see you in there. Let's keep
Thanks,
on going.
Patricia. Great. Yeah.
Deborah, we see you signed up. Listen, you're all on here with us. We want you to know this. So here we go. This is Lisa McGuire. Lisa McGuire, shout out to you here. But Lisa has attended some of my other challenges I've done, and you're going to get a lot of value. So Lisa, I thank you for the shout out on that also. Catherine, we did it.
We're at the end of our time.
We did it right on time.
Yeah.
So we thank you one more time. Scan that. DM either one of us, that's that little direct message thing. And then if you need any help, just let us know. We'll make sure you get in there. We're here to guide you. Try to come to that Friday before. It's not obligatory, but you're going to get to meet other people. Try to come every day. You're going to get more out of it if you don't watch it on recording, but we will give you the recordings on this.
Sounds great. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, Catherine. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to end this all. We thank you all for joining up. Man, this was awesome. We hit 55 people on the high end of this.
So
That's
fun.
Awesome. That says a lot about each and every one of you.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, we'll see you all at the end of the month. Catherine, stay with me. Bye, all. Okay. Have a great day.